The boy was sitting in the back seat of the school bus, chatting with his friends, when he noticed something was wrong. He saw the bus driver clutching her chest and gasping for air. She looked pale and sweaty. She tried to reach for the radio to call for help, but she was too weak. She slumped over the steering wheel, unconscious. The boy realized that the bus driver was having a medical emergency and that the bus was out of control. He saw the bus swerving into the opposite lane, heading towards a car. He knew he had to act quickly. He jumped out of his seat and ran towards the front of the bus. He pushed the driver aside and grabbed the wheel. He steered the bus back to the right lane and pulled over to the side of the road. He turned off the engine and checked on the driver. She was still breathing, but barely. He told his friends to stay calm and call 911 on their cell phones. He didn't have a cell phone himself, but he knew how to use one. He borrowed one from a friend and gave the operator his location and situation. He asked for an ambulance and a tow truck. He also asked for someone to contact his school and his parents. He stayed with the driver until help arrived. He comforted her and told her everything would be okay. He also reassured his classmates and kept them from panicking. He was brave and calm throughout the ordeal. He saved the bus from crashing and possibly injuring or killing everyone on board. He also saved the driver's life by getting her medical attention as soon as possible. He was a hero. The boy realized that something was wrong when he saw the driver slump over the wheel and the bus start to veer off the road. He quickly got up from his seat and ran to the front of the bus, where he found that the driver had passed out and the brakes were not working. He knew he had to act fast to save himself and his fellow passengers. He grabbed the steering wheel and tried to steer the bus back onto the road, avoiding other cars and obstacles. He looked at the dashboard and saw that the bus was still going at a high speed. He remembered what he had learned from watching videos on how to control a bus and decided to try to downshift the gears to slow down the bus. He reached for the gear selector and shifted it to second, then to first. He felt the bus slowed down slightly, but not enough to stop safely. He looked around for a place to pull over, but there was no shoulder or exit ramp in sight. He wondered if he could use the endurance braking system or the anti-lock braking system, but he did not know how to activate them or if they were even working. He decided to try pumping the brakes, hoping that there was some pressure left in the hydraulic system. He pressed the brake pedal several times, then pushed it all the way to the floor. He felt some resistance, but not much. He kept pumping the brakes, hoping to build up some friction. He saw a red light ahead and knew he had to stop before he reached the intersection. He looked for a way to use friction to slow down the bus, such as a guardrail or a curb. He spotted a grassy median on his left and decided to steer the bus towards it. He hoped that the grass would provide enough traction to stop the bus without causing it to flip over. He turned the steering wheel sharply to the left and felt the bus lurch onto the median. He heard a loud screeching sound as the tires dug into the grass. He held on tight to the wheel and prayed that he would not lose control of the bus. He felt the bus slow down gradually as it plowed through the grass. He looked ahead and saw a large tree in his path. He knew he had to avoid hitting it at all costs. He steered the bus slightly to the right, hoping to miss it by a few inches. He closed his eyes and braced for impact. He heard a loud thud as the bus hit something hard. He opened his eyes and saw that he had just grazed the tree with the side of the bus. He felt a jolt of pain in his arm, but he ignored it. He looked at the speedometer and saw that it was almost at 0. He realized that he had done it. He had stopped the bus without crashing. He let go of the wheel and slumped back in his seat, feeling exhausted and relieved. He looked around and saw that everyone on board was safe and sound. Some of them were cheering and clapping for him, while others were crying and hugging each other. He smiled weakly and felt tears well up in his eyes. He had just saved a bus full of people from a potential disaster. He was a hero. The boy knew he had to act fast. The bus driver was unconscious, and the bus was speeding towards a busy intersection. He remembered seeing a radio on the dashboard and decided to use it to call for help. He grabbed the radio handset and pressed the button to talk. He spoke slowly and clearly into the microphone, following the tips he had learned from his school bus safety training.